She was charged with 22 counts of child molestation. One of the victims, her own daughter, who along with a second child was taken away from Tonya Craft and put into the custody of her former husband. The case literally tore a town into two. But then a jury cleared her of wrongdoing, and now she's finally ready to tell her story. Steve Osunsami has our exclusive report.
You promise to tell the truth? Nothing but the truth?
It was the end of a month-long trial that turned so ugly it was dividing this small Georgia town into two.
I'm here because I have been falsely accused.
Don't you know that you have a right to sit there and make them prove every element of their case?
Yes.
Tonya Craft was taking the stand to defend herself.
Don't you know that they're supposed to not have to hear from you?
Yes.
Don't you know you have a right to remain silent?
This former kindergarten teacher was accused of sexually abusing her own daughter and two other young children who were students at her school.
How do you know when Tonya Craft is lying? Well, her lips are moving. Just lie after lie after lie.
There's a reason why you wanted to take the stand.
Absolutely. The reason is because I did absolutely nothing wrong, and I knew when I stood up for the verdict that I wanted to have done everything I could do to prove my innocence.
She says her trouble started with a ring at the door on May 30th, 2 years ago.
The detectives came to my home, and he said, well, but there are some things that people have said that you have touched some children inappropriately.
She called us and told us that the worst thing in the world that you could ever imagine had happened, and just to get there as fast as we could because they had threatened to come and arrest her. And we certainly did not want the children to see their mother taken off in handcuffs and put in a police car.
That's when my daughter and my son got in the car. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't realize that would be the last time that I would see them.
The prosecutors accused her of molesting the three girls during sleepovers she held at her home when the children were in kindergarten, first and second grades.
I'm a single mother, and my child is welcome to be around Tonya anytime.
Tonya's friends firmly believed in her innocence.
It scares me to have children in my home, for my child to have a sleepover guest. It could be anyone.
On the other side, her ex-husband and a tight-knit of area families.
Kindergarten teacher, a woman?
Yes.
I don't think
that's not supposed to happen.
No.
The accusers didn't want to talk with Nightline, but one of their supporters did.
It doesn't make sense, but that doesn't make it untrue.
6 parents and the 3 children all testified against her at the trial.
Yes, I did ask my daughter had Tonya touched her.
And I'll never forget the look on her face or in her eyes. She stopped everything she did and looked me dead in the eye and said, I know it did, Daddy.
Her own 8-year-old daughter testified too. Even though authorities had recorded hours of debriefs with the children,
she proceeded to tell me that there's something else she needed to tell me, that Tonya had stuck her fingers inside her vagina.
They couldn't produce a recording of the moment they claimed the children accused Tonya Craft of abusing them.
You did not immediately take her back and put her in front of the cameras and document what she was telling you, did you?
No, I did not.
And you did not turn on the tape recorder and get a witness in there to watch this happen, did you?
There was already a witness in there.
Okay.
That's why I didn't.
According to their testimony, their depositions, and their interviews that we had access to, that my name was not brought up by the children, it was brought up by the parents.
Is there any point of the trial that was the most difficult for you?
When my daughter was on the stand, absolutely. I have no doubt that she has been manipulated by her father. She said that her mommy had put medicine on her bottom, which is exactly true. Yes, I did, because she had had some stomach problems and some diarrhea. And then she said, as her daddy told her, that her mommy had lied to the police, that her mommy had lied for a lot of people.
Craft believes this all started years earlier when she and one of the mothers who testified found their 2 young daughters in a room playing what looked like a game of doctor.
The mother had told these other parents about that situation. And my thought is, when they're there, you know, they were like, well, remember a long time ago, and Tonya's daughter did this and this, then it must be Tonya's daughter, and because it must be Tonya's daughter, then it must be Tonya.
Things grew worse after a sleepover when Craft scolded the second of the alleged victims.
She and another little girl were saying some things to my daughter, and I actually heard it. And so I just kind of talked to them about it, and that was the last time that the child or the child's mother spoke to me, at school, anywhere. It was just kind of a perfect storm. I had an ex-husband who, it was not a good situation. And then you have some other parents that there's just this very, very dramatic ending of a friendship.
Somebody, somehow, they've been convinced.
As the heated trial drew to a close, the jury took a day and a half.
And I remember standing before the jury came in, and I knew that if I walked through the door to the left, that I was going home, and if I walked to the door to the right, that I was going to prison.
We, the jury, find the defendant. Count number 1, not guilty. Count number 2, not guilty.
But it wasn't until I heard the 22nd one that I could just, it was almost like your entire 2 years of emotions just.
Count number 22, not guilty.
You could breathe.
The state has yet to return her children.
You're hoping that with this hearing, that by the end of this hearing, you have custody again.
I want my children back in the home, my home, where they belong, where they were healthy and happy.
When you get in a room alone with your daughter, is there anything in particular that you haven't been able to say thus far?
There will never be a day that goes by that I don't tell her that I love her, because you just take things for granted, and I always did tell her, but that's just like the day that she left and I didn't get to say goodbye. I just want to look her in the face and hold her little cheeks and just tell her that I love her. I always have and always will.
For Nightline, I'm Steve Osinsami, Saudi, Daisy, Tennessee.
Tonya Craft is now suing her ex-husband, the parents of the accusers, the counsellors and the county government for $25 million. She says it's not out of bitterness nor vengeance, but a desire to protect others from the same false accusations. Our thanks to Steve Osinsami.